Hey guys, so welcome back to the next part of our series. I know I mentioned that we were going to be doing the legs, but I thought it would be a good idea to just jump really quickly into the axe. This is something that I've mentioned before, but whenever you're going, especially for such an extended project like this one, we've been doing this for like 5 hours now. It's okay to switch it up a little bit. So I'm going to go to the axe, refresh my mind a little bit, and then we'll go back to the character. And the reason why I'm saving the axe and some of the other assets is they're easy assets. So that means that we can do them relatively fast, and it's just not going to be as difficult. Now, I'm going to delete this one. We can rebuild it if we need it. And I'm going to delete it especially because we do need to figure out what other parts of the axe are we missing. So this is the axe handle original. There we go. Because we do have some, there we go, bandages. That's it. Okay. So that's the lower bandages and the top bandages. I don't remember if we had, yeah. So this bandage is over here. And those are going to be important. Now, as you can see right here, we used a very similar method to the bandages on the arm. So we're going to have to decide whether we want these bandages to be right here, or whether we want to combine them with the rest of the elements. Right now, I'm going to focus on this guy right here. And I do want to have everything else like showing because I do want to create a single mesh. I think this is going to be the best idea to create a single mesh with these three things especially. Not the bandages. I'm going to keep the bandages as a separate piece. It's going to look a little bit better. Yes, it's going to increase the poly count a little bit, but I think it's for the best. So I'm going to grab all of these pieces and I'm going to combine them into a single object. And now that they're combined, now we can just hide everything else. Let's delete history, of course. Bring this back in here. Go to the top. Grab these guys and just hide them for now. So this is what we're going to be doing or retopologizing. Now I'm going to show you an interesting trick right here. I'm going to start with a cylinder. And the reason why I want to start with a cylinder is because we can go to the actual object. Let me just see one thing because, okay. So this is an important factor that we need to consider. The axe is not on the symmetry plane. So does that changes how we address things? A little bit, especially because we're going to be losing the symmetry side of things. So I actually do want to keep everything symmetrical. I'm going to bring back all of the high polys for the axe. I'm going to grab the axe right here. I'm going to go to my top view and I'm going to move it. So we get this as close as possible to the symmetry line. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it's not going to be perfect because the axe is not like perfectly symmetrical, as you can see right here, but as close as possible. Now you can see here, this is very important, 106.5. That's the distance that we move the high poly to the center line. So eventually, when we re-export the proper high poly bake from ZBrush, we're gonna have to keep or use the same number. That's why I'm not gonna freeze the transformations on this, guys, because I wanna keep that information in case we need them. Now with that, I should be able to create a cylinder. Go to the top view. There we go. And move the cylinder so that we match the cylindrical shape that we have right here. 20-sided cylinder is usually a good number for such things like this one. And I'm going to use the cylinder to capture the main shape here that we have. All of the cylinder shape. There we go. Let's extrude this out. And that's it. As you can see, that pretty much is covering the whole thing. Now you can see that the lines here are not perfectly aligned to where the sword is starting. So to make things easier, I can just move this and give this a little bit less. So in this case, a 16. We'll still get a nice enough roundness to the cylinder. And now they match with the rest of the elements. So that tells me that we're going to have one edge loop right there. And one edge loop right here. Probably another edge loop back right around there. Okay, I'm gonna grab the object, the cylinder. As you can see, we're not using retopology right now. This is like a more traditional retopology method where we literally rebuild the whole thing from scratch. It is not symmetrical. The thing is not perfectly symmetrical. We have a big hit here. It's pretty much symmetrical on the front side, I think. Yeah, the front side is pretty symmetrical, but we have this big hit here. So it's pretty much symmetrical. That tells me that it's pretty much symmetrical. So let's just delete half of it. And then we'll do that last bit asymmetrical once we get there. Ooh. Let's select that guy right here. There we go. And of course, we're going to have to delete that line and that line right there because that's where the handle of the axe is going to be extruding from. Let's isolate a little bit there. delete that one as well. Perfect. There we go. So now we have the proper like construction there. I'm actually gonna delete this edge. Well, not this edge. I'm gonna grab this vertices down here. Just push them up a little bit. So they're right at the border of this thing, right there. Perfect. That's what I want. Now what we can do is we can actually rebuild like this main thing only with the edges that we have right here. How do we do that? Well, we can select this guys right here and say extrude. We're gonna go up. Actually, before I do that, in this particular case, it's gonna be way easier if we actually have the whole circle. So I'm gonna mirror this on the Z-axis. There we go. And the reason why this is gonna be a lot easier is because when we extrude this thing, you can see the pivot points on the center. So we're gonna be able to modify a little bit better. So we're gonna extrude this out and bring it down. And then scale it in. So that's like that way we're capturing that part. Control E again, just extrude this out, right around there, I would say. Control E again, W, and then scale in, right around there. And then we can Control E and scale like right around there. Probably like about there. There we go. And then you should be able to observe. I'm going to get this into a layer. This guy's right here. I'm going to Control E, offset, and then W, and push this up. And it's going to help me capture the little round thing that we have going around there. So if we take a look at this thing right here, it's looking quite nice, right? Now for the little like pointy bit here, we know that we pretty much have like the number of points that we need, but it's slightly off. Actually, it's a little bit like moved to the side. It's not perfect, but that's fine. So I'm going to go to this guy right here, select this elements. I'm going to Control E again. Actually, am I selecting the proper ones? Yes. I'm going to Control E again, scale them in so they're very close to the border, and then Control E and move them all the way up. Just go all the way. In this case, we are going to go to a point. So I'm just going to merge to center. Well, actually, no, it's not a point. So let's go right around there. Okay. Now you can see that we have a little bit of a border here, like a straight border. So I'm going to use my knife brush to add a line there. And then just scale this out. And here's where things are not going to like match as closely. It's fine. Go right around there. And this is an issue with modeling, right? Like our modeling is a little bit off. Let's make this a live surface now. And if we jump here, you can see where things are not like lining up. But it should be fairly easy to just like move some of those points to where they're supposed to be. Another thing we could do is we could delete this lines right here. It's gonna cost some n-gons, but let me show you what I mean. So if I grab this edges right here, which are the ones that are supposed to be flat, you just delete them and we'll get the shape. However, now that I think of this, after having all of these issues, this is a way to rebuild it. But to be honest, why not just delete this whole thing and have two separate pieces, right? Like this whole thing right here, we can just merge to center. That's the cap. And then we'll just remodel or retopologize this like cone bit as a separate piece. I think it's just, it just makes it easier. And that's one of the things that I want you guys to see from this whole process. Like it's not always the same thing that you're going to be doing. You might have to do and change your approach depending on how complex or not certain things are. Now, we're going to go to this part right here. And this is fairly easy. As you can see right here, we have very obvious ways in how we're going to be building the topology, which is this way right here. Here. We're going to go to the center line. We don't need to do both sides. We've mentioned that before. And the most important thing is always the silhouette, right? Especially on the blade, because the blade, as you can see, it's a little bit thinner than what we've done before. So I'm going to go big shapes first, following the main form of the blade. Like that. Maybe even an extra one right there. We know we can make these triangles if needed. Very, very common in weapons, especially on the curved edges, to have extra geometry to capture the roundness of the object. For instance, here, a triangle there is just going to be way more precise than the rest of the elements. We go there. Can start pushing this guy back to where the blade ends. And now it's just a matter of bringing all of these things in. We're probably going to have a couple of extra edge loops here. That's fine. You don't want to here, as you can see here, we have this like a relief of this like demon thing, like runes and stuff. You don't really want to bring that into the, or place points inside of the relief, because that's going to change the sort of like flat surface effect that we're going for. So as you can see, I'm trying to place my options or my points in places where we don't have that, where it's not as obvious. Over here, down here, you can see we have this spike. How are we going to approach that spike? Well, we want to keep, we've mentioned this before, we want to keep things going from top to bottom, from left to right. So all of this is like fairly simple. Even like a nice little triangle right there. Couple of triangles. Well, that one I don't love, to be honest. So here's where, again, we need to decide. I usually prefer this. There we go. Like a triangle there. And like a triangle there. That it just looks better. It doesn't mean that it is better from a technical standpoint. It just looks better. There we go. So here we are going to do a little bit of an extrusion. We can do a triangle. That triangle will generate a square over here. Then we can do another one here. And we can use a little bit of stitching, right? So just from here to here. If you don't like triangles as much, you can have this as a square. Just move it, relax it a little bit, and there we go. So with that, we're pretty much covering most of the curvature here for the axe. On this side, we're gonna need the edge, right? So we're gonna have to do this, and those faces are going to be capturing the side part of the whole thing. But as we get to the pointy bit, to the edge, it's pretty much going to disappear. Probably around here. So here, that's probably going to be a triangle right there. That way we can hold a really nice sharp edge. Some people might like to capture the edge. I think in this case, I kind of want to capture the edge, to be honest. We've mentioned this before, that in games, when you have things that are super, super thin, they sometimes read wrong. They look like paper thin, and nothing is paper thin in the, well, paper, of course, but what I mean by this is like things usually have a thickness, right? I think I read somewhere that 0.05 millimeters is like the thickness of at least every single like normal object that we work with. So if you're doing like or you're using like a cardboard or something, 0.05 should be the minimum. You can see how here it's pretty much razor thin, right? So we got to be very careful, because we do want to have our edge. It's going to be a little bit difficult to keep that edge. So I'm going to just push this thing a little bit closer to the inside, so that edge becomes pretty much razor sharp. But then once we get over here, you can see how we start getting a new traditional like blunt edge. Go there. There we go. There we go. And then over here is pretty self-explanatory, I would say. Just keep going here, and that's it. So with that, we've pretty much captured this. I definitely think we need one more edge right there. You can see how we're missing some of the border. And I don't want to smooth this guy, to be honest. So I'm going to delete this face, add one edge. As you can see, that pushes it out forward. And then we're just going to have a couple of triangles right there. Okay? Same thing like here, like it definitely feels like one extra edge might be a good idea. So just add the extra edge, push it a little bit more there so that it holds a little bit better, and just have a triangle right there. Again, this object is never going to deform, so we're not really worried about that, right? Over here, we have 3 lines, so let's do 1, 2, 3, like that. And over here, of course, it's having some issues with that line. See how that line is kind of like hidden? That's a very common like problem that we get with retopology. I'm just gonna turn this off and just push it up so it's outside of where the camera can pretty much see it. And once we have that, we can select this guy again, go back to live surface, and keep going. There we go. Same deal here, like that point right there is kind of like hidden, so let's just extrude this manually. Gonna clear dots, extrude this manually. There we go. Push this up, extrude this manually. Now it's kind of like hidden, and this usually happens when you have an object made out of multiple objects. Like the points, they try to go to places that's not the one that you want them to go. So I'm just gonna like manually move this down and out. There we go. And now just get it there. Cool. And following the same sort of like principle, just keep going back here. Here's where we know we're gonna need more resolution, so just add 1 more there. We might even need to do a little bit of a break here, because as you can see, this is very straight, but over here we start getting like curvatures, and we know curvatures can be tricky. Easiest way to fix that is add a triangle. Triangles allow us to create more topology without modifying the silhouette as much. Over here, we're gonna go to the underside of the axe. There we go. Up here, that will be my middle section. This will be the lower section right here. Like a weird squared over here as well. I always want to try to keep the center line. We've talked about this before. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from, let's say from there to this point right there, so that we can have this square right there. Might need another one down here. So from here to that one right there. That way we're going to have that guy and that guy. And there we go. Now we grab the whole object. Oh, Maya is freaking out. This is a very common mistake. I don't know why it happens with Maya. It freaks out. And what's going to happen here is that you do a selection, but it doesn't show. You need to move the camera to see it. When this happens, just save. Make sure to save real quick. And open and close Maya again, because it's... I don't know, it's like a display error or something. So yeah, that's it for this one, guys. I'm going to stop it right here. In the next one, we're going to continue. We're going to mirror it and fix some of the details. Hang on tight, and we'll see you back on the next video. Bye-bye.